Hola a todos. Hi, everyone. My name is Denise Hernandez, and I'm running to be the first openly gay Latina judge to serve County Court at Law number 6. In all of Travis County history, we've never had an openly gay woman serve on a misdemeanor criminal court bench before. We've also never had a Latina serve on a misdemeanor criminal court bench. And this is a big reason of why I'm running to increase representation, lived experience, and to expand the impact of Project Engage for County Court at Law number 6. To tell you a little bit about my background, at a young age, I learned the disproportionate impacts of the legal system when I watched my family navigate immigration court, criminal justice, and eviction proceedings. My family is originally from Tamaulipas, Mexico. Both of my parents grew up as migrant farm workers, and we grew up with very humble beginnings in a low-income immigrant community. And though we faced a great deal of adversity growing up, those adversities inspired me to become the first person in my family to go to college, and inspired me to become the first lawyer in my family so that I could fight for social justice and I could fight for communities like the communities that served my family. And so to tell you a little bit about my legal background, I started my career as a legal aid attorney helping low-income communities out in Lubbock, Texas, where I went to Texas Tech for law school, and I met my wife in Lubbock. So Lubbock has a very warm place in my heart. After being a legal aid attorney, I became an assistant county attorney here in Travis County. I specifically worked in diversion courts with DWI court, and I volunteered with Project Engage. I was one of the special attorneys assigned in that court. And then I volunteered my time to take on extra hours to work with the students who were in Project Engage, because mentorship is very important to me. It is a hallmark of who I am and the work that I've been doing in the community for many years. I served in that role for almost 2 years. And then I served as an assistant county attorney for about 3+ years. I then went on to serve as an assistant district attorney, serving survivors of domestic violence and child abuse, handling some of the most complex felony trials, including murders, child sexual assault, and some complex domestic violence cases. And in that role, I learned a lot about trauma-informed advocacy and how no matter who you are interacting with in the courtroom, every person you interact with brings their personal life experiences with them. And it's our job as legal professionals to begin to navigate not just legal spaces, but the trauma that people have experienced, to be able to show that you have support for them and that you can create real justice in the courtroom. I now serve as the Deputy Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the County Attorney's Office, where I work on criminal justice policy, and I'm teaching lawyers how to increase equity and inclusion in the courtroom. We just did an extensive training on LGBTQ inclusivity, how to use proper pronouns, how to create safe space for LGBTQ jurors, witnesses, individuals who are arrested, because that's a major issue that we're experiencing in the courtroom, which is a lack of inclusivity. But in addition to my legal work, I've been a long-time community leader. I serve on multiple nonprofit boards focused on the social emotional learning of historically marginalized students. I've been mentoring historically marginalized students for over 15 years. I've actually mentored over 100 students in the time that I've been mentoring. And that's because mentorship changed my life. Because I grew up with such adversity and with so many obstacles, I was having a really hard time in school when I was growing up. And I honestly never thought I would even go to college. And what began to change the trajectory of where I was going was mentors who shared my lived experience, who could guide me through some of my obstacles, and who allowed me to see that I could make a difference in my life and the life of my family. And so because of that, I give myself back to community, because community really uplifted me, and it allowed me to be where I am today, to even be running and speaking to all of you today. And so this is all important because County Court at Law number 6 leads Project Engage, the youth diversion program. The majority of the students in that program are young Latinos experiencing poverty and housing instability. These are the same experiences that I had growing up. And so I have a unique lens and perspective to bring compassion and understanding to the experiences of those participants. I have the ability to help them feel seen and supported, but most importantly, my philanthropic connection in Travis County allows me to connect them to well-established nonprofits and social services that can provide long-term stability in their lives. I've already began starting in building strong connections with local organizations, funders, and other community leaders who are ready to partner so we can expand the impact of Project Engage. I've been endorsed by the majority of the Democratic organizations that have endorsed so far. But most importantly, I just received the endorsement of the Austin Chronicle that sees that I have a very sustainable vision for how we create impactful change for the students in Project Engage. And so I ask that you learn more about me at votedeniseforjudge.com. What I want to do is I want to pause and answer some of the questions with some of the time I have allotted.
Yes, we do have one quick question from Jack Alford. There is no Republican candidate for this office, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And Joy Smith had asked earlier, besides Project Engage, what other things can you do from the bench to work toward criminal justice reform?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I appreciate it. One of the biggest issues that we see in our courtroom is a lack of inclusivity. There's a lack of fair access for immigrant communities, for Spanish speakers, for Mandarin speakers, and Vietnamese speakers. And like I mentioned, a lack of inclusivity for LGBTQ individuals. And so I am specifically trained in increasing equity in our community. I'm trained in training on implicit bias. And so on top of expanding Project Engage and working with community organizations, I want to increase inclusivity by including gender neutral legal forms in our courtroom. I want to ensure that every court employee is going through implicit bias training and is learning trauma-informed skills that we can begin to provide true fair access. I also want to provide all legal forms in Spanish, Mandarin, and Vietnamese to increase that fair access. I see that Doug also has a question.
Yes, Doug has a question. Doug?
Yes. How would you address the problem of defendants with mental health issues?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think the biggest issue
30 seconds.
Thank you for that. I think the biggest issue is that we're not screening everyone that has shown symptoms of a mental health concern. The only screening that is taking place is if there is a diagnosis, but we know that there are disproportionate impacts with diagnosis. And by asking everyone standard questions to be able to gain an understanding of there's a potential mental health diagnosis, then we can get people diagnosed and we can begin to connect them to services. Right now, we aren't asking those standard questions of everyone. Additionally, I think we can be working with some more community nonprofits to provide more social services and expand the impact of connecting people to services outside of just the services provided by the county. We have to provide a support system that isn't just within the courtroom. Thank you again for the time, Ann. I appreciate it.